Today is Monday, November 14th, and I'm here with Lois Owen, who is willing to talk with us about her faith in her life. So thank you, Lois. And can you start off, Lois, by telling us what it is that keeps your faith strong in your life?
It's the experience of having prayers answered and knowing I can count on God.
Tell me more about that. Tell me, is it a common thing for you to have prayers answered? Do you ask God for things regularly?
Yes, I'm constantly at God's door asking for help, and it always amazes me the creative ways He comes through for me. But I know that I can count on Him to answer prayer.
Can you give me an example? Is there one that's not too personal? I don't want you to share things that are too personal, but are there examples of how prayers are answered in your life?
Well, I have had occasions when an occasion when I was really upset with God because I wondered whether He had put me in a position and then kind of left me hanging there, and so I was really angry with Him and prayed about that in a way that maybe doesn't sound like prayer, more of a conversation. And within about half a day, He answered it in a way that I wouldn't have expected. And so I really knew that it wasn't me looking for. Sometimes I think we wonder whether something happened by coincidence or that maybe it really wasn't God answering a prayer, but this one was because it happened. Someone who I really didn't like invited me to spend some time with them, and in spending time with them, it really relieved my anxiety and my feeling that God had kind of abandoned me.
That touches on faith being active in your life, and Lois, it sounds like prayer is a regular thing with you. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, it's very regular. I don't hesitate at all to ask God for help. I probably am heavier on the end of asking Him for help and then thanking Him later, rather than just thanking Him for things that are just already there and that I take for granted, I suppose. But yeah, I do pray a lot.
Are there ever times, Lois, when it turns out that God did answer your prayer, but you weren't hearing it, or it wasn't the answer you wanted?
Yes. Well, yeah, sometimes it wasn't what I thought I wanted, but in the end I would see that maybe it was for the best anyway. And it would take me some time to figure that out. But yeah, I do find that prayers aren't always answered. Actually, a lot of times I will give God directions on how I want things done, and He never takes my advice. He always answers it in a different way, often more creative than I would have ever come up with, though.
You grew up in the Lutheran church, is that
Yes.
right? Mm-hmm. In Sacramento.
Yes.
What was it that brought you to the Lutheran church in Modesto? And because you didn't work in Modesto, you commuted to work. So what brought you to Modesto, to Emanuel, and what makes you stay here?
Well, it turns out that my family has been Lutheran since 1764, and I've always been kind of amazed that I ended up in a church that was so well suited for me. I think when I attended synod assemblies, I'm always impressed by the stands that the Lutheran Church takes on issues, and so I feel really fortunate that it's such a good fit. I guess that's why I stay, and their interpretation of Scripture makes sense to me. it sounds like something I can believe in.
So you've never considered leaving the Lutheran Church?
Actually, not seriously. No, I haven't.
What are your concerns for the church? What are your fears for the church, either for the church in general or for our church, Emanuel Lutheran?
This really would be for the church in general. It seems to me that people who haven't been raised in the church are coming to churches looking for entertainment, and so I think it's losing some of its depth, and or has a danger of doing that in trying to just appeal to the masses. And so I think that could be a problem, that church becomes just a form of entertainment rather than a way of connecting with God and with other people.
Well, the church in general is struggling. Mainline churches are struggling, at least. How do you think we're going to meet that challenge?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I wonder if sometimes crises come that make people think more about, the possibility that maybe the church could have some answers for them or be a support for them. And I suppose that might end up being one way, which isn't really something I guess we look forward to. But as far as appealing to people, I'm not really sure how we can do that in the society that we're in anymore without being kind of entertainment, I guess I take a dim view of it, but...
Do you fear, or are you reluctant about the church changing as times and society changes?
It depends on how it changes. If I think it's a change that is has some meaning and depth that will really make it more relevant for people in a meaningful way, that's fine. But if it kind of trivializes it, then that would be something I'd really worry about.
I want to ask you one last question. When you finally meet God face to face, are there things that you would like to ask Him or tell Him when you meet Him face to face? And I know you talk to God now all the time, every day. But are there things when you actually are face to face that you wish you had a chance to ask Him?
I really don't, because I don't think my prayers sound like other people's prayers. I think I'm having conversations right now with Him that are very down to earth and not, they don't sound very prayer-like. In fact, when I'm asked to pray in front of people, it's really hard, because that's just not, I don't really pray that way. It's more of just a conversation with someone. So I'm not sure I'm going to have anything new or things that I've been wondering about, honestly.
Because you're not waiting to ask God those questions. You're asking.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm down and dirty right now.
Thanks very much, Lois. I really appreciate you sharing your stories about your faith and your life. Thank you.